Comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Breaking up is hard to do.
Oh, I think Neil Sedaka had it right there. Breaking up is hard to do. Well, wait a minute. That was 50 years ago. Maybe it's not so hard. Now, it's certainly no fun going through it, either dumping somebody or being dumped. But it's gone on forever and ever. It's being done in maybe a more high-tech way. In fact, some would say now that there's an art to this and people need assistance. The holistic breakup, it's being called. What does that entail? Practitioners who maybe they're part therapist, part yogis, even nutritionist. You name it. Donna Arp Weitzman's a dating specialist back on our show. And we're going to talk about this right now. Donna, good morning.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Holistic breakup. Good. What? Well, I mean, it's usually pretty organic. It's one side says to the other, "We're done," or it's with the classic, "It's not you, it's me." No, right. I mean it's really you. So, I mean, what is a holistic breakup anyway? Can you define that?
Well, I think it became kind of a pop culture word when Gwyneth Paltrow said that she and Chris Martin were going to be conscious uncoupling, if you remember that, conscious uncoupling. And so I think that was the new craze of holistic breakup. But however, there is a lot to it. And really, if you look at what people are calling holistic breakups, it's really taking care of yourself, your psyche, your body, your stress levels, those sorts of things. But, there have been two popular songs in history, probably a lot more than that, but ones that we all remember. And one was, of course, as you said, breaking up is hard to do, and it is. But the other one was 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. Oh, we had them all memorized. Yeah. I always contended I wanted to write a letter saying there are more than 50 ways, but no, I'm standing. That's for part two. All right, I get it.
Yeah.
But
there's some some ways. There's some methods and that are really important when you're going through a breakup. Whether he's breaking up with you, she's breaking up with him. Regardless.
Yeah, and my parents' generation. I mean, I remember my mom. You talked about being pinned when you were in high school and all this, and then you broke up. He asked for his pin back. I mean, it's over. Or I gave his pin back because I saw Tommy over there, and Tommy's kind of cute. I mean, this is it's as basic as that, but in our age now, I mean, is there a real difference in the age group here about how you break up, how you go about doing it? Is there some people want to have an app for it? Is there a breakup app?
Yeah. Well, generalizing, millennials maybe use technology a bit more than baby boomers or those in between. But the basics, the psychological basics and emotional basics are the same. First of all, you don't necessarily let them down easy, but you let them down truthfully. As you said, you accept the responsibility for your part because it's always a two-way street. You avoid blaming them, don't just blame them for everything. You've got some of it too. Try to treat your ex-lover or your lover about to be dumped with respect. Don't, go ha, 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 I'm breaking up and I got somebody else. So, there's some things you can do, to get through it and hopefully not have to do it again. But however, in today's world, breaking up seems to be a part of making up and a part of finding new love. So.
Breaking up and making up. I'm hearing lyrics all over the place. With
there are lots of songs.
No, and there certainly are. And I haven't even started down the list of country music, which is all about breaking up and somebody cheated on somebody else, and now I need a drink. I mean, there's the basis, there's the framework for writing a lot of the history of country music. Look, there's a reason why those songs are popular, though, because people lean on them sometimes with emotional need. And you talk about holistic breakup, but I mean, in every relationship, it rarely is a 50-50 thing. And the person who maybe has a little more invested in a relationship, they stand to have a little more of their heart twanged, if you will, by this. I mean, it's just the way it goes, right? And so you got that's the care part, trying to take care of yourself.
it's the one that's invested the most that has the most to lose.
Yeah.
And as you said, every relationship 60-40 or, it's rarely 50-50. There's generally one that gives more than the other. And that one, when you've got more invested, you've got more to lose, of course. But, the country music world started embracing this many, many, many decades ago.
Yep.
And it's because it's a common part of human themes, love, then, marriage, and then breakup. Or maybe not marriage. But it's all a part of human themes. And one thing to say, though, about this new technology and what's going on out there in the conscious uncoupling, of course, there are companies now that are making profits off of this. There's one company sending you a kit to grieve with hot pink towels and things like that. There's, yoga studios that you can go to that have certain moves for grief. And so, everybody's becoming aware of the conscious breakup.
I guess, I would just say it's okay, too, to just take a day where you stare at the ceiling and look at the spackle and, gnash your, you can howl at the moon a little bit before you get on with it either. I think I've done that a couple times. Thankfully, it was many, many years ago. But it's you
do need to grieve.
You do.
You need to let yourself grieve.
It's a normal, I think it's just a normal human reaction to rejection, especially when, like I said, you're deeply invested. Donna Arp Weitzman, our guest. Where do we find you online, Donna?
Well, my books, you can follow me with my books, Sex and the Siren, and Cinderella Has Cellulite, both books about finding new love after you've broken up, whether it be divorce, your spouse passing or whatever reason. So those books are on Amazon and in many of the bookstores, or you can just go to DonnaArpWeitzman.com to see my podcast or my blog or whatever.
Yep, last name spelled Weitzm. And Donna, always appreciate. We'll go out with some more Neil here. Appreciate you being with us today. Very much interesting.
Dave, good to talk to you.
Thanks, Donna. 1320. Sing it. WILS.
I always enjoy talking to dating specialist Donna Arp Weitzman because I'm out of the dating pool, and I am permanently out of the dating pool. But Donna concentrates on what we call later daters, the people that are in the dating pool later in their life, and they have to deal with the new stuff. Particularly, she and I have often talked about electronics. It's just a joy always to check in with Donna. And Donna, welcome back to the WHO Newsmakers line.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing terrific. You doing okay?
Yeah, doing great.
All right, so
Colorado in the mountains.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the time. You could have said, no, I'm in Colorado. I'm not talking to Jeff Angelo.
What? People have dating problems up here, too.
Yeah, they've got probably different ways to deal with it in Colorado than are available to us in Iowa, Donna. But anyway.
Yeah, you probably are not going to push anybody off a mountain.
Right, that's exactly right. So I'm really interested in it. You're a dating specialist, Donna, especially for later daters. Have you ever thought of getting into the breakup specialist cottage industry? Apparently this is a new industry that is popping up, the breakup specialist.
Well, I'm kind of in that. I don't make a living with the business of helping people break up.
Right.
But both of my books, Sex and the Siren and Cinderella Has Cellulite, talks about what happens once you break up.
Right.
So, I kind of deal with it every day. But, now there is a cottage industry, and it is growing, and it's very holistic. I think it kind of started with Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin when they asked her if she was getting a divorce, and she said, no, we're going to consciously uncouple.
Consciously uncouple. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, and so now there's, of course, people taking advantage of consciously uncoupling, and it has to do with meditation and yoga and nutrition and all the things that really helps us anyway, so just keeps us healthy. Certainly physically, and then there's some mental things as well that we need to do, and emotional things.
So, yeah, when you're going through a breakup, I guess this is a burgeoning industry of people that will come help you sort of get through it. And I also imagine, I kind of wondered, Donna, if like they give you their phone number, so, when it's 10 o'clock at night, you're thinking of texting that ex They're like, I got to call my person because he's going to say that's not a good idea.
It's not a good thing to text your ex. Once you've broken up, you pretty much need some space and some time to go by.
Right.
Not that you can't become friends, because that's really important to try to get some shred of relationship, hopefully down the road. But you don't need to be making the overtures, and nor does he or she. You need time, and you need space, and you need to grieve, because when there's a breakup, there's a grieving time.
Well, and I would also think one of the things that you'd really have to deal with, Donna, is if you run in the same social circles, right? That seems to be a huge problem if you're going to run into your ex.
That's a toughie. And you know what I would advise on that, and I see this often, is when people break up, they badmouth their spouse,
right,
or their lover or whomever. And especially if you're in the same social circles, that's really a bad idea. Because what happens is you lose friends over it, you draw a line in the sand, and also, you probably had something to do with the breakup as well as he or she did. So both people need to take responsibility.
Yeah, there's this concept, Donna, called the social breakup, where, like, your friends sort of feel like especially if you've made friends as a couple, they sort of think that they've got to take a side and just be a friend with one or the other. It sounds like you could take responsibility for that and make sure that, look, everybody's still friends.
Yeah, I think that's really important, is to say, maybe he and I didn't get along and, we obviously are breaking up, but that doesn't mean we're breaking up, or I'm breaking up with you as my friends. I know you're friends with him or her. It's really important to maintain those friendships if you can.
And Donna, I love talking to you about the effect of electronics on all of this, because I'm out of the dating pool, and I'm glad to, because it wasn't playing as prominent role when I got married 10 years ago. But now you got texting and you got social media. Is that making the breakup harder because you've got access to messaging? And I also would think, for example, if you're Facebook friends with your ex, like, well, you didn't get to that point of maybe unfriending them and you can see their life. It seems like that's making the breakup process harder for people.
Well, even if you unfriend them, your friends may send your message on to them. So, I don't know that it's making it harder, but it's certainly not making it easier. Breaking up needs to be done face to face, if at all possible.
Yeah.
And you need not to get into a big argument. Just take your responsibility and go from that. Now, if you're young or even older, and you've only been out with the person maybe twice, and maybe it wasn't real intimate, and you had coffee, then it's okay to text them and make it a nice text and just say that your life is busy. And, it's better for you not to contact them or them you, and make it a nice text and give them some kind of realistic compliment. But really, that's only if you've been out 2 or 3 times. If you've been out more than that and both of you have invested in the relationship, then it's much, much better to do it personally.
Well, and I'm also mortified, Donna, you and I have talked about ghosting, where you just simply don't respond to that person anymore. That is definitely a mortifying impact of this electronic age. I think breaking up is not easy, and people are scared of it. I think the electronic age makes people indulge in that fear. Like, you're exactly right. If you had a relationship with somebody and you text them and go, I don't want to see you anymore, it's an easier out, isn't it?
Well, it's really the coward's way out, especially ghosting. A person can't bring it upon themselves to look the person in the face and eye to eye, so they ghost them as kind of a way of letting them down. But really, it just draws out the pain, and it makes the person ghosting look like a coward and probably guilty.
Yeah, and feels a little bit guilty, and and I imagine you're going to still, if you're somebody and you're really hurt by that, you're going to still attempt some kind of contact because you feel like it's justifiable for you to get a face-to-face with somebody who wants to break up with you.
Yeah. You feel, that's the only justification. You feel unjustified if somebody just strings you along and lets you down and then becomes a ghost and, you don't see them again, don't hear from them again. You feel like there was never any finality to the relationship, and that's really not fair.
So let me ask you, Donna, do you overall think that these these breakup experts that come into your life and help you get through a breakup, do you think that's ultimately a good thing? The one caveat I'd have to that is, do you become dependent on the breakup expert to help you through? At some point, you just have to go on with your life. What do you think?
Well, if it helps you personally, it's like having a therapist or an exercise coach or a nutritionist. It's sort of the same thing. If it helps you personally and helps you prepare your life for whatever's coming, then it's fine. But it's not somebody to use as a crutch and go around, dumping people and saying, and let them clean up your trash. That's not what you want. So, but if you need a nutritionist anyway, and possibly it makes you feel better to have somebody to talk to, right. But know that they're going to charge you, and know that that's what it is. It's an employer-employee relationship.
I couldn't help but be a little bit selfish there. If I got a nutritionist and, say, a yoga coach, I'm really preparing for the next person. Donna Arp Weitzman, she is a dating specialist, and she's talking about breakups today with us, and I always appreciate her perspective and appreciate her weighing in on, as I said, she does a lot of books and she does a lot of work with later daters, and I just think about that. Now, I'm not going to enter the dating pool anytime soon. I've got a happy marriage. I got a great wife. But you read things like what I was just reading to you about the breakup experts, ghosting, the way the electronics has affected the dating pool. And if you are a listener to this program and you are re-entering the dating pool, I am sure it can be very, very intimidating, because I would just say, I've been married 10 years to Boo. I would just say in the last 10 years, it's been a dramatic change in how people date. Electronics still were not a big deal, not a big factor when I was dating Boo, but at this point it has really become that, and I'm always interested in how it affects the dating relationship.
I am reminded of South Carolina, where they talked about something called the late great unpleasantness. The unpleasant work of dumping or being dumped has turned into a booming cottage industry that stands as a very clear response to our modern world. At least that's what we hear. Dating specialist Donna Arp Weitzman is joining us on the KOGO News Live Line. Good morning, Donna.
Hello, LaDonna. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm not even in a relationship anymore, so the thought of needing a breakup expert is pretty much anathema to everything.
Well, you might want to tuck this away and kind of keep it just in case you need it.
Okay. So what is a breakup expert?
Well, now there are companies and individuals that are trying to help those of us who are going through a breakup, either about to get dumped or getting dumped, or maybe we're the dumper. So whatever the situation, there are psychologists and yogis and nutritionists and all of the things that help to keep us personally healthy. Because, being a good lover and also being a good person we need to feel good. And so that's part of it.
So breaking up in a healing way, this actually has less to do with the actual breakup, as in you're breaking up with somebody, and more to do with how you're reacting to it.
Well, yes, I've read about one app that will actually do the breaking up for you, but I would suggest for those of us who don't like conflict, which is most of us, and breaking up is certainly a conflict, that we don't use the dating app to do that. I think it's really important because we want to try to keep the respect and respect the other and try to keep their respect, and we also want to make sure that, we treat them in such a way that we can be friends later on, possibly, rather than making enemies.
So now you see some practitioners, though, who are sort of, part therapist, part yogi, part nutritionist, part TED Talk. Is this really going to be helpful to people, or is it just in case of let's say, a really bad breakup or a situation that's toxic?
Well, I think that anytime we're focusing on our own internal health, again, whether that's yoga, or whether it's meditation, or just good nutrition, that helps in all ways in our lives, not just whether or not we're getting ready to break up or we are breaking up. But some of the important things about breaking up, or as you mentioned, getting dumped or really being the dumper, is it's really important to acknowledge that you were a part of it. We don't want to close our eyes and blame the other person and go on to the next one and then blame that person. And it's important to believe that and to know that you were a part of it. And really, the most hurt is for the one who has the most invested in the relationship.
So ultimately, when you are going through a divorce or a breakup or anything, even if you're breaking up with a friend, just suddenly you've realized, gosh, we don't.
Same thing.
Yeah, we don't have anything in common, or we are so far apart on these few things that we can't be friends. What is the best way to approach that when you are, let's say, deciding, okay, I need to break up with this person? Don't you owe it to him to talk to him?
Yes, unless that maybe it's just been a casual hookup situation. Millennials usually get into this pretty often, and maybe you've only been with the person in whatever way for 2 or 3 times. Then I think a long, sweet text is okay, or maybe a phone call. But if you've been with that person any length of time, then it really needs to be face-to-face. And again, you need to treat him with respect, treat her with respect. Now, your lover may, go into a silent rage or lash out or project onto you, but look past those things because they're surface and they'll go away. And then let yourself grieve. Know that you've lost something and accept that. Don't grieve forever, and that's where these coaches come involved that you're talking about. But let yourself have some grieving time. You need to do that.
All right.
And grant yourself some space.
All right. Relationship expert Donna Arp Weitzman with us here on the KOGO News Live Line.